we have three wonderful guests and experts on this subject. And I'll request Professor Mona Iyer to step in and share her initial thoughts. And in case you have some visuals, we'd love to see those as well. And as we go along after your presentation, there are a few questions that we may take. So over to you, Professor Mona.
Thank you so much, Anurag. Thank you, UMC team, Meghna, Manvita, and all of you out there for taking this very important topic at a very appropriate time. We are just 3 weeks away from having this in force, and it's really, really nice to have a discussion around it, to wrap our heads around how it's going to pan out. And I'm also looking forward to listen to Bianca and Yaminni as they tell us from their on-ground experience. What I have today is more based on my reflections on how the first set of rules in 2000 panned out and how the amendment of 2016 worked and what are the kind of challenges or pathways we see for the 2026 rules. So it's more of a reflection based on the work I've done with the cities, with the ULBs, through our studios and through my own research and understanding. So my presentation is very brief. It's essentially bringing a set of pointers that I've put together, and maybe we can have a discussion around that. I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Great. So I've kept my discussion around these four main points, Anurag, which you had sort of hinted me at. And I'm sure the other points on informal sector engagement, the IEC, etc., will be taken up by my other colleagues on the panel. So if we talk about what is the most important change in the solid waste rules and what are the areas that need preparation to adopt it at the ULB level, so that's one set of points I have. Second set of points is around extended bulk waste generator responsibility and the certificates. What are the kind of opportunities and challenges that we see as we plan to roll it out? And third point is around regional infrastructure such as landfills and what would be the determinants of success if we try to go for regional level landfills. And the fourth one is inclusion of rural and gated communities. By rural, I mainly mean the peri-urban and the gated communities, new rules for urban-rural convergence in solid waste management. And what are the possible pathways for that? So if we talk about the first point, what is the most important, what are the most important changes and what are the downstream needs? By downstream needs, I mean, what is it that the cities of all sizes that will need to do in order to onboard themselves on the new solid waste rules. The first one being, as you mentioned, four-stream segregation at stores. We all know the rules of 2000 and 2016 endorsed segregation of waste. We had two streams, now we are moving to 4 streams, but the waste segregation infrastructure, both at the household level, at the collection level, at the transfer level, is still limping in many cities. And how efficiently we'll put out this waste segregation infrastructure is something that the cities will have to grapple with. How to get users also onboarded on this fourfold segregation. Also, how the collection routes will be redesigned if we want to, what will be the frequency of collection of the other 2 streams, the newly introduced streams? How will the routes get redesigned? What will be the behavior change, IEC, to really reinforce this idea of four streams? Training of the staff not for the ULB, but for the contractors that are into collection of waste. How will we have penalty mechanism and who will monitor the penalty and collection? So these are some of the important downstream needs if we really want to see light of the day for implementation of this 4-stream segregation. If we look at the extended bulk waste generator responsibilities, I think ULBs will have to prepare a system to identify and notify these bulk waste generators. Because if we go by the classification criteria of the 20,000 square meter area and 100 kg of waste, In big urban centers, a lot of properties will come under that. Maybe around 40, 50, 60% of the properties will come under that. So how will the system identify these, notify these? Will it be linked to the property tax? How will we simplify this process of first identifying the bulk waste generators and then inspecting them for compliance and then penalize them for non-compliance? And how do we have this transparent verification method so that it's not case to case basis, but it's like uh, uh, it's throughout for all the bulk waste generators. So this is going to be an important aspect as cities move to having implementing the extended bulk waste generator responsibility. The third one, digital monitoring of waste, I call it low hanging fruit more because of the digital savvy outlook that we have and the abilities that we have in the country to go digital. But the challenges would lie for the smaller cities with limited fund and the human resource capacity, the availability of vendors to roll it out in smaller cities, and vendor onboarding processes. And then how do we take care of data duplication and data completeness? So these are some of the things that we will have to focus on in coming 6 months as we prepare to support cities to roll out the rules 2026. If we go to the polluter pay principle, which is again important change and a good outlook, but it talks about guidelines that will come from DPCB, then the levy mechanism by the state pollution control boards, and collection by ULBs. So, how will we ensure that ULBs are able to inspect this, document this, and prosecute the offenders consistently? And therefore, again, I think here the bullet number second, third, and fourth will have to tie together so that we are able to roll it out effectively. If the last point, if I talk about the reduced dependence on landfills, I think the current capping and biomining is already ongoing in many cities. The incoming waste is already struggling to find its way to the newer areas. And within this, if we are having reduced dependence on landfills, what are going to be the city level bylaws to ensure that we have space for this kind of space and implementation for this decentralized treatment facilities, and how will we monitor this? So these are some of the downstream needs for the most important changes. And the extended bulk waste generator responsibility and the certificates, I think there is a huge opportunity there. It improves the accountability of large waste generators. Cities can actually roll it out in a phased manner, targeting at a certain size of bulk waste generators and then going deep down over a period of 1 year. It will encourage on-site waste processing, of course being aware of what will be the challenges of on-site waste processing. It will reduce the burden on municipal waste systems. It will promote circular economy. Yes, all of those, but the challenges would be, as I had said earlier, in monitoring and verification by the ULBs. There could be a risk of certificate based compliance without real waste processing happening on ground if the monitoring systems are not put in place on time. And municipal administration will require a lot of capacity to do this whole administration of bulk waste generators and their responsibility and certificates. And it will require certainly very transparent reporting and time to time audits. So that's actually a call for capacity building amongst the consultants, amongst the auditors, amongst the agencies that will help these ULBs to report. So I hope to see some kind of programs on capacity building that come around this. If we look at regional infrastructure such as landfills, we have seen in Gujarat the effort to do regional landfills congregating a few cities. This was done way back about 18 years back, 16 to 18 years back. And I think what will be the necessary ingredients there will be the agreement between the administrative units, which are becoming members of that regional infrastructure. The NIMBY attitude and the public agitation, especially around the area where that landfill regional infrastructure sits, and that area agreeing to receive the waste from other areas. Land availability, the waste characteristics, because Anurag, you talked about the calorific value, and the waste characteristics is something which which is still the weakest link in the ULBs. The characteristics of the waste change from the point they are generated to the transfer station to the dump site, and which waste characteristics we take and on which characteristics do we depend when it comes to landfill and when it comes to RDF as well, which you were mentioning. The financing and cost sharing of such regional infrastructure, that is the one time capital cost, but also the operational cost and its cost sharing will have to be extremely clear for it to see the light of the day. And the user charge at the generator level and tipping fees at the ULB level is something that will have to be thought through if we want to really talk about regional infrastructure and its success. And my last point is about inclusion of of rural and gated communities in the new rules. And especially if I talk about peri-urban areas, which will soon be merged with the ULBs, how will we look at the data convergence when these urban areas are merged? What kind of data consistencies we would like to see in terms of registering the bulk waste generators, certifying them, so that when these peri-urban areas merge with the urban areas, the transition is seamless. How will we build the capacities to roll this out in the peri-urban areas? And what will be the mandate or provision for hand-holding of these peri-urban areas by the bigger urban centers? So this sort of leaves us with a lot of... hello? Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay.
Your
Okay.
screen has stopped, but we can see. And
Yes, I stopped my screen. So I was just, those were my last points. So these were more
yes,
of points to ponder and prepare ourselves in coming 6 months. Maybe the cities will require that incubation time. And I think there will have to be a lot of mindful inputs that will have to go to the cities to roll it out very efficiently. So these were some of my pointers, maybe some more when we have a discussion around these. Thank you so much, Anurag.
thank you so much, Professor Iyer, for this. It was lovely hearing your thoughts. I am seeing some conversations in the chat, and we'll take all the questions after all the speakers have spoken. Perhaps some of the questions that are popping up may have already been answered by the panelists. And towards the end, we have kept about 15 minutes of time for Q&A to the panelists or in general. So thank you so much, Professor Iyer, and we'd like to then now invite Yamini. If Yamini, you'd like to come in and uh, share what are your thoughts, and if you have any visuals, feel free to post them as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Anurag, and thank you, ma'am, for setting the context. Very apt for my presentation next. I would request Chinmay to kindly share the presentation if possible. And before we start on the presentation, I would just like to, bring out the striking difference between the previous rules 2016 and the new rules 2026. There is more emphasis on achieving segregation. Now, the segregation is the backbone for all the infrastructure that's been developed under the previous schemes and also under the SBM urban and rural missions. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yaminni Verma. Like Anurag mentioned, I'm working in this small organization. It is a startup. It was founded in 2022. And we are working with the community, we are working with the ULBs, and we are working with international and national organizations, government, both, in bringing about source segregation and also material recovery through MRFs and recycling. Can we, like you can see in the picture, so the first slide, please. Yeah, so like you can see, these are the ambassadors for change, all the young children. So obviously, when we do IC, we bring about a lot of awareness among the school children who are the ambassadors for change. Ma'am rightly mentioned that we really need to think about the roadmap to implementing these new rules, because like we have most of us have seen, the cities are really underprepared. most of our cities, they're not able to implement the 2 or 3 bin segregation yet. And when we talk about a 4 bin segregation, how prepared we actually are. We've been implementing source segregation projects in various cities where we are working. Next, please. So, like I mentioned, we are a small startup. We were founded in 2022, and we've been working with both the ULBs, the urban local bodies, and the on-ground workers. We also integrate informal workers into our MRFs and our projects. Next, please. These are the various services that we do. So we are both an implementing agency and a technical partner to various organizations. Next, please. I'll quickly just go through our profile so that you understand which areas I'm working in. So we conduct a lot of zero waste events. We see a lot of events happening around us. They all use SUPs. So we try and divert these SUPs from the landfill. We recover these wastes through MRFs, through our recycling centers, through resource recovery centers, and so on. Next, please. So we are working in across 9 states, 27 project locations, 36 projects where we are working. We are working with both urban and rural centers. So ma'am was also asking, how do you integrate these peri-urban, urban into urban spaces? So I'll just briefly talk about one of my projects, which we are working with a semi-urban panchayat in Indore. Next, please.
स्वच्छ और सतत शहर निर्माण की दिशा में हमारी आईसी पहले केवल जागरूकता तक
This is one of our projects that we're doing in Prayagraj.
और व्यवस्थित प्रणाली के निर्माण पर आधारित हैं। हम शुरुआत करते हैं वार्ड के गैप असेसमेंट से, ताकि जमीनी स्तर पर चुनौतियों को समझा जा सके। प्रत्येक वाहन की वैज्ञानिक रूट मैपिंग की जाती है। सभी कचरा संग्रहण वाहनों का निरीक्षण सुनिश्चित किया जाता है। उचित कंपार्टमेंट, स्पष्ट ब्रांडिंग, स्पीकर और जीपीएस सिस्टम के साथ ही ड्राइवर, हेल्पर और सफाई कर्मचारियों का नियमित प्रशिक्षण कर उनकी क्षमता को सशक्त बनाया जाता है। हम अधिकारियों के साथ साथ स्थानीय नेतृत्व, महापौर एवं पार्षदों के साथ निरंतर समन्वय स्थापित करते हुए मेरा वार्ड मेरी जिम्मेदारी जैसे जन भागीदारी आधारित अभियान संचालित करते हैं, जिससे हर वार्ड में स्वच्छता को जन आंदोलन का स्वरूप मिल सके। घर घर जाकर हमारी टीम नागरिकों से सीधे संवाद करती है, स्टिकर वितरण, कचरा पृथक्करण और होम कंपोस्टिंग की जानकारी देकर व्यवहार परिवर्तन की दिशा में प्रभावी कार्य करती है। व्यवसायिक क्षेत्रों में हर दुकान दस्तक अभियान के माध्यम से प्लास्टिक प्रतिबंध, कपड़े के थैलों का प्रचार और प्रत्येक दुकान पर 2 प्रकार के डस्टबिन की व्यवस्था को बढ़ावा दिया जाता है, ताकि बाजार स्वच्छ और प्लास्टिक मुक्त बन सके। स्कूल और कॉलेजों में जागरूकता सत्र, नुक्कड़ नाटक, रैलियां, कबाड़ के जुगाड़ के माध्यम से प्रोडक्ट बनाना जैसी गतिविधियों के माध्यम से बच्चों और युवाओं को स्वच्छता का ब्रांड एम्बेसडर बनाया जाता है। सार्वजनिक अभियानों के तहत क्लीन अप ड्राइव, बैकलेन, सौंदर्यीकरण, जीवीपी हटाना, वॉल पेंटिंग, मैस्कॉट गतिविधि और पर्यावरण दिवस जैसे विशेष आयोजनों के माध्यम से सामुदायिक भागीदारी को मजबूत किया जाता है। हम BWG यानी बल्क वेस्ट जनरेटर को जीरो वेस्ट मॉडल की ओर मार्गदर्शन देते हैं, कंपोस्टिंग और स्रोत पर पृथक्करण को लागू करवाते हैं। साथ ही शहर में जीरो वेस्ट इवेंट की योजना को सफल संचालित करते हैं। योजना से लेकर जन भागीदारी तक स्थायी बदलाव की दिशा में प्रतिबद्ध हैं हम।
Yeah, so we really need to talk about solutions if we are serious about implementing these rules. So how do you implement this segregation? If I can put it out to the audience, if you would permit me, Anurag, I really would like to take one or two answers from the audience or the panel. How do we implement this?
I think the respondents can respond in the chat box, and we'll.
Yeah, we can continue. Yeah. So here is a few statistics from few of the projects that we are doing in various cities. So These are recent projects that we are doing, and these are ground figures. You can ask me for all the data. I'll be happy to share the data with you. So these are not merely, random figures. These are actual fees, field-based and transfer station record data that I'm presenting before you. Before we started working in these cities, the level of segregation was very low. And we are working in Ahmedabad, Rajkot, Rajapalayam in Tamil Nadu. So we were working across states. And as you can see, within few months, we've been able to achieve more than 50% segregation at all these project locations. So how are we doing it? That is the main question. कैसे कर रहे हैं? ICBCC तो बहुत सारी organizations कर रहे हैं, but हम क्या ऐसा कर रहे हैं? So we focus more on behavior change. Our IC is not event based or social media, print based, advertisement based IC that we do. We do a behavior change campaign with the community. So this is a daily habit which they need to inculcate to be able to support the ULB in their mission. So it has to be a daily habit, 2 bin, 3 bin, or a 4 bin system. You need to do it every day. मैं एक दिन करके इसको नहीं तो इवेंट एक दिन करके हम क्यों छोड़ देते हैं? So it's a year-long activity, maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, till your residents have the habit of segregating the waste. And also, most of the times we've seen, we do give them the pamphlets and everything, but still they do not know how to segregate waste. So what we do is we give them practical demonstrations. We go to their doorstep. If they are giving us mixed waste, we segregate it in front of them, demonstrating that this goes into the green bin, this goes into the blue bin. That's how we go about it. Next, please. So this is what I'm saying. As you can see on your screen, these are pictures from the actual waste collection vehicles. And this is a picture from a recent project in Ujjain, which, and you can see he is demonstrating how to segregate various categories of waste. So, once you start interacting with citizens at that level, then they start understanding and cooperating you. Also, our volunteer goes along with the vehicle daily. If the vehicle starts at 6:30, my volunteer is there at 6:30 with the vehicle, going from house to house, informing them that you need to segregate waste, you need to deposit waste into the vehicle, not throw it here and there. So that's how we can go about in changing the people's habit. Next, please. As you can see, these were the results before we started this campaign, and within a span of 2.5 months, we've been able to achieve 95% segregation levels. Next, please.
नमस्कार, मैं रामगोपाल नागर प्रेमी सृष्टि से हूँ और आज हम ग्राम पंचायत सिरोल में हैं, तहसील खंडाला और ज़िला सतारा डिस्ट्रिक्ट महाराष्ट्र। आज हम 2 महीने से यहाँ पर काम कर रहे हैं, जो डोर टू डोर सेग्रीगेशन और वेस्ट कलेक्शन को लेकर अवेयरनेस कर रहे हैं। तो आप उसका रिजल्ट देख सकते हैं। यहाँ पर 2 महीने का हमारा ये जो रिजल्ट है, आप प्रॉपर वेट वेस्ट देखिएगा। प्रॉपर घरों से लोग अलग अलग कचरा करके डाल रहे हैं और ये ड्राई वेस्ट है हमारा, सूखा कचरा। यहाँ पर प्रॉपर 100% लोग गीला और सूखा करके कचरा यहाँ पर डाल रहे हैं। और आप देख सकते हैं इसके साथ साथ ही और जो कचरा है हमारा घरेलू हानिकारक कचरा, आप देख सकते हैं वो भी घरों से अलग अलग लिया जा रहा है। साथ में हमारा सैनिटरी नैपकिन और पैड्स वगैरह हैं, ये भी हम अलग लेते हैं। लोग काफ़ी अवेयर हो चुके हैं। साथ साथ में एक इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कचरा, ई वेस्ट का जो भी पूरा कचरा है वो भी हम सेपरेट लेते हैं। धन्यवाद।
So yes, so why is this important? क्यों करना है segregation? मतलब why is the emphasis being put on segregation? We have such big and huge infrastructure, crores and crores of rupees infrastructure that we have in various cities. So why do we need segregation? Machines might as well segregate the waste. So I would like some views on that as well from the audiences. So till now, we've been able to achieve these facilities in various, across various cities, like from Bastar, which is a rural setting in Chhattisgarh. It is a tribal belt. In the tribal belt, we are able to set up a 5 TPD MRF with the help of rural women, SHG women. We have established collection centers in the villages. Our SHG ladies, they collect waste from these collection centers and bring it to our MRF for recycling. So we've been able to upskill them. We've been able to provide livelihood to them only through training, capacity building, and integration into the formal system. We have various partners. We work with CE is one of our partners. We are doing a project with HDFC Bank as well. HDFC is the main partner with CE, and we are the third party. We are running and operating these MRFs and recycling centers. We also have a recycling center in Jagdalpur, which is a 70 PT recycling center. And we are also working in a small panchayat in Indore, which is only generating around 2 metric tons of waste. So across varied cities and panchayats, we're implementing segregation. So it is possible, yes. Why am I showing it to you? Because it is possible and we are doing it. So it is just about how do you institutionalize this effort. Next, please. So this is our MRF facility in Bastar. Next, please. So if a small rural area like Bastar can implement such a project, then any city can. This is our newly inaugurated center in Shirwal, Maharashtra. Next, please. So till now, we've been able to divert more than 2,255 metric tons of waste from the landfills. So we started our operations in 2022. So this is a small, achievement for us. Next, please. All these figures, all these statistics, I'm only sharing because I want to tell you that this is doable, this is possible. Like I told you, we are working with small panchayats also. This is a very small gram panchayat near Indore. There are only 2,500 units in the panchayat, and we are handling roughly 1 metric ton of waste a day. And as you can see, these are rural women. They are helping us divert more than 50% of this waste from landfill. Next, please. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And I would just like to, mention that, like ma'am was also saying, we need to move away from, a very linear based economy to a circular economy. We need to think about ways of recovering valuables from the waste is no longer waste, it is a resource for us. So let's think of ways and in how we can divert waste from the landfill. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Yaminni ji. Thanks for sharing your initiatives and your successes with us. We will come back with questions after our last speaker, Bianca, shares her experience. So thank you so much, Yaminni. And I'd like to now invite Bianca to share her opinions and her perspectives on the new rules. So over to you.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'll just share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mona and Yaminni, for your insights on the rules. A little bit about Hasrudala. Hasrudala is a waste picker organization that works for the welfare and social justice of waste pickers. Our major objective is to integrate waste pickers into solid waste management systems. So that's the major objective, and to look out for livelihood options and social security for waste pickers. Before I start with the rules, like how Yaminni rightly mentioned that it is doable. It is doable to say segregate your waste, into and actually, do all the circular economy and all of this. But it's only doable if humans are involved in it, or I would say waste pickers or waste workers are involved in it. If they do not put their hand in waste, then it's impossible that we have a circular economy, or we have say a just waste system that is sustainable. So I'm talking behalf of waste pickers and what this SWM Rules 2026 has for waste pickers. So I'll just, show you some lines or directives in the SWM rules and what is there for waste pickers. So there is a definition of waste picker and an informal waste collector that is there in 2026 rule. While there is recognition of waste pickers and informal waste collectors in the rules, however, it is not strongly mandated in this entire rule as to how it needs to be integrated. There is legal visibility when they say, who is a waste picker, who is an informal waste collector, but how do you register it? The implementation bit of it is really missing in this entire rules, and it is not really mandated for their integration. So when I say what is mandatory for waste pickers, right, to be integrated into the system is really looking at having like a registration from an urban local body or an identity card, like a document that says, okay, they have been integrated and they are working with the ULB. So that is what we're really looking for, and actually prioritizing their inclusion in, say, dry waste collection centers or MRFs, and actually integrating them in, say, collection, sorting, door-to-door collection, and mainly ensuring that their livelihood is protected. We have a lot of waste pickers who are working with the ULBs. Like, say, in Bangalore, we have our waste pickers, just 400 of them working with the ULB. But what about other waste pickers, like free roaming waste pickers, hair pickers, bone pickers? So there are a lot of variety of waste pickers, but how are they really integrated into the system and into these rules is not really mentioned. Like Mona ma'am also, said that there is four-way segregation, even Yamini mentioned, which is a very good thing, but how much is it doable is something that, we have to wait and watch. But here it says that, for separate way of segregation, it needs to be segregated and handed over to authorized waste pickers or waste collector. So now, when you're saying authorized waste picker, who is authorizing them and what is the procedure to authorize these informal waste pickers or waste collectors is not mandated. So it really looks from far when you see, it looks really fancy that these words are mentioned, but how is it being institutionalized is something that is really missing. While there is strong push for segregation, which is a very good thing for our waste because it really improves the quality of waste, and because it says you have to hand it over to waste pickers or waste collectors, there is direct access to waste, which is a good thing for our waste pickers. So when there's improvement of quality and value of recyclables or waste, it means better livelihood or better income for our waste pickers. And with segregation comes, better quality of waste and also cleaner waste, which reduces the health risk for waste pickers. So we have a lot of incidences in our dry waste collection center where mixed waste has come, syringes or broken glass have, gone through their hands, and some fingers had to be amputated. There is a lot of skin diseases and all of that. So if this really comes to, then there is, we are really looking at safe working conditions for waste pickers and lower contamination and handling of mixed waste. Now we'll be coming to the duties of each, say, a body. While there is responsibility of each body that is mentioned in the rules, but mechanism for its implementation is something that is really missing. So coming to the central level, there is MAUA that, the one of the duties is to facilitate integration of informal sector of waste processors or waste pickers by local bodies. And also they say that, they have to include them in model bid documents or requests for proposals and all of that. So it's a clear responsibility that has been given to MAUA to come up with guidelines to make sure that informal waste sector is actually included. So it is actually the responsibility of, say, organizations or alliances that work, or even citizens who are working with waste pickers or waste workers, to actually see how do we really get into this and go and talk to the ministry to include waste pickers. While there is recognition, how do we actually make sure that it is implemented in, say, advisory language in the rules is something that is missing, and that is what we have to really advocate for. And if guidelines, manuals, and bid documents explicitly recognize waste pickers, it can really look at how city can change in terms of waste management, and to look at it in a sustainable way. So that was the central level. Now we come to the state level. So this is the duties of urban development department, or department that's responsible for municipal administration. So there are multiple places where it says that, there needs to be a state policy or strategy that the informal sector has to be included. Then waste pickers who are involved in collection, segregation, sorting has to be identified, enumerated, and registered by the local body. And a good thing is ensure registration of waste pickers is mentioned, which was not really mentioned in the 2016 rules. And here it's also mentioning self-help groups and collectives. So I think there is a clear mandate that UDD is also responsible for enumeration, and there needs to be guidelines that has to come out where waste pickers are integrated. So this means they are recognized, which is so there is ray of hope for informal waste pickers, but it's also how do we negotiate and make sure that it is mandated. And one more thing is that they are also saying the data must be uploaded in this centralized portal. So monitoring and evaluation also is playing a big role to make sure that they are integrated into the system. But how do who is going to validate it? And how is there any audit that's going to happen about this data? So that also is a question mark. Like how Anurag mentioned, there are a lot of questions where even we are not sure, how it's going to pan out. But it's our responsibility to go and negotiate that, it comes through when the guidelines come out. And these are some of the entry points where I have marked, where we can actually make sure that waste pickers or informal waste collectors are, integrated. Then coming to the local level, so these are the duties of local level, local body, urban local body. So here mainly they have said, they have to be integrated in the centralized online portal. You have to hand over the segregated waste to informal waste collectors. Two main things that has come out of this rules is educate workers, including contract workers who are involved in door-to-door collection for segregation of waste. I think this is a very important rule because what we have seen and experienced in Bangalore is there are separate vehicles for collection of dry waste and wet waste. But what happens is, so sometimes the wet waste vehicle also takes the dry waste. So there is certain gap in the workers itself knowledge as to what has to be done with what waste. Even citizens come tell us that we segregate the waste, but we see the vehicle mixing up the waste. So I think this capacity building for the workers is also very important. And the second thing is ensure that operator of the facility is providing personal protection equipment. So this is also a very good thing, but I feel it is very limited. When we are talking about personal protection equipment, it's just not giving them gloves or mask or aprons. It's also making sure how are they getting it, how frequently are they getting it, who is responsible. Because if you're going to give PPE, then it comes with a cost. So is the operator, having that much income to give them PPE regularly? While we are saying PPE, but we are also not looking at the overall protection of workers. It also is responsibility of the urban local body to make sure there are regular health checkup for waste workers. safe working conditions. While there is responsibility, environmental responsibility, but if there's no labor justice, then I don't think we are moving in a just transition way. But also the rules does not mandate minimum wages, social security, health insurance, which is really important for our waste workers because they really work in conditions that you or me can't even experience. So I think these all should be really re-looked at when we are, making sure when we are advocating to make sure that waste pickers are included. While we spoke about, urban local body, there are also duties of rural development department to integrate waste pickers, same as ULB. But here it also says mandate and enforce segregation, integration of informal sector and capacity building initiative through inclusion in contracts. So at least here they say that there should be contracts which mandates integration of informal sector, which is a very good entry point at the RDPR level to make sure that waste pickers or even self-help groups or collectives of waste workers are included. And this is also about, waste workers are just not in urban cities, they are also in the peri-urban and rural areas, which makes it very important for them to be added in these areas. And same thing, they have to be, the data has to be uploaded in the central portal. So that was that was the responsibility of each body at different levels. Now we're coming back to duty of MAWA and circular economy. So if you really read the document, you can actually see circular economy written in many places, recycling, reuse. So reuse was not mentioned in SWM 2016 rules. So that's a good thing. When we're talking about circular economy, it's impossible to not look at waste pickers or waste workers because they really are the backbone of recycling industry. Say if a waste picker does not segregate the waste by their hand, then there's no value chain created. So if a waste picker does not say segregate your PET bottle and the cap, then there's no industry that is going towards the PET bottle recycling. Then the bottle cap is the HTP, so there's no value chain created for HTP. So we are really looking at if we are really looking at driving circular economy, then we should make sure that waste pickers are definitely included in this entire thing. And it is the responsibility of MAWA, that's what it says. And even in so coming back to state level, there is urban development and rural development says that they have to have state level steering committee for circular economy. So I think it's very important that waste picker representatives or waste picker organizations have to be a part of this somehow. We have to push ourselves and get into these committees to make sure that waste pickers or informal waste collectors experiences really come into being, where material recovery or recycling markets are happening just because of these waste pickers and waste collectors. So these rules should really just not recognize them, but really translate into the right of a waste picker getting access to waste and roles and their resources. So I think inclusion of waste pickers into these systems will drive circular economy. Then we are also looking in this entire rules, we are finding a lot of fines, environmental compensation, penalties that have been mentioned. These are funds that are used to generate revenue for waste management services. So in Bangalore, what is happening is before the solid waste management was under the ULB, but now there is a separate entity, BSWML, Bangalore Solid Waste Management Limited. So they have made it a for-profit company to run and to take care of the city. So these funds will be really used to run the company, right? So, but I think it's also fair to ask these fines to be indirectly supported for integration of waste, because especially for their wages, health insurance, workers' safety, and making sure it's just not the infrastructure that's developing for these sorting centers, but also infrastructure in terms of human is also increasing in terms of building capacity of workers. So I think these fines and environmental compensation is something that really needs to be redirected to integration of informal waste collectors. Also, throughout the rules, we see there's a over reliance on contractors and large operators. So we see, frequently it refers to facility operators, contractors, authorized agencies. So there is kind of a loophole where, large private companies can actually come and take over these MRFs. There is a possibility for, informal waste workers to be sidelined, just to be mere informal labor. They are not really looked at as workers or partners in the solid waste management system. So in such cases, there might be they may lose access to materials and their livelihood. So I think there needs to be a clear uh, advocacy for safeguarding their livelihood in terms of recognition, fair working condition, and continued access to waste materials. So just formalization should not replace waste pickers for their work. So it needs to be looked at it from a meaningful integration where their work is not taken for granted and they should be looked at as partners. This is my last slide, but I just want to say that in order to make sure that waste pickers are integrated in these rules, we should look at advisory language to see how do we mandate, integration of waste pickers, and that should really come out through the guidelines that is, say, going to be coming out from MAWA or our policy for SWM that comes out from the state, and even local bodies have to come out with bylaws and guidelines. So we have to make sure that in advisory language that waste pickers are integrated, just not recognized, but integrated into the system, and make sure that they have social protection and they and like I said, they are a part of circular economy. Without them, there is no circular economy. So yeah, this is majorly what the rule says, but I think going forward it's about, if we really want to integrate them, it's about building strong policy narratives and going on ground and negotiating with the urban local body to ensure waste pickers are integrated. While we are saying that they need to be integrated, we have to go with data, we have to go with evidence, we have to show models where waste picker integration has really worked. And without putting your hand in waste, there is no value chain, there is no circular economy. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bianca, for the in-depth and a very well analyzed piece and sharing your opinion on that. And that brings us to the end of the experts' uh, reflections. And this is now the interesting time where we get an opportunity to do a little bit of questions and probe a little deeper into the areas which many of us have been working in. So I think I have a few questions to kind of tie this together, and then we'll open up for Q&A with the for the other participants. But Professor Iyer, I'll come to you. You did talk about the regional infrastructure, and there's integration of now the integration of urban rural areas, looking at shared facilities and common services, and a lot more integration. Um, However, administratively, they're still very different. How do you see this rules? Do you think that these rules will help address adjacent urban and rural local bodies to kind of figure out how they integrate their waste systems? And the second part of this question is, will it also resolve some of the NIMBY, not in my backyard syndromes, and those feelings from rural areas.
Anurag, thanks for this question. And this is an unanswered puzzle for last more than 15 years or so. And we have had little success when we talk about the regional facilities for solid waste management, whether it is treatment or disposal, landfill. What I think is a couple of things which probably may help us see light of the day in this is a very clear split of the roles and responsibilities. So, both, as I had mentioned in my presentation, when it comes to operations and also when it comes to sharing both the cost of operations and if at all there are any benefits arising out of it. Second is very, very strict monitoring of this facility, which can only give confidence to reduce the NIMBY syndrome. The whole NIMBY thing comes from the lack of trust in terms of the operations of these kind of facilities. And I think if you ask me whether these rules will address that, I think rules in spirit have not dived into implementation. I would also think that that would be the role of programs which will get framed based on these rules. So if there are specific programs which get into supporting or funding these kind of regional facilities, they will have to have the KPIs of how to roll this out, how to monitor it. I think I look at it like that, and to see it as a half glass full.
No, great. I think there have been examples where urban local bodies have been extending critical services into adjacent outgrowth areas, as we call them. I've seen that in water. Transport is a very common service where wherever the urban local bodies are responsible of providing transport services, they've extended water, sewerage. And it's always been a question in my mind, why solid waste management? Because here you don't even have to lay pipelines. It's just about extending your collection routes and perhaps setting up some facilities for decentralized processing. But yeah, I think it's an unanswered question for a long time. Hopefully, this integrated SWM rule approach will break some of the problems that we have been looking at.
Yeah. I think the perceived negative externalities linked to solid waste are also one of the deterrents, which you don't see so much in transport. You know, the direct benefits are seen very clearly by the user. So transport
Yes.
is that way a different case. Wastewater also does not have such huge perceived externalities, both environmental and social, as solid waste has. So I think if we bring that trust in, through good programs, I think we will see some light of day. Yeah, sorry, but please go ahead.
We'll come back to you, Professor Iyer, but I think this is quite an interesting conversation. And I'll come to you, Bianca, with a question. You spoke about there is the extended bulk waste generator responsibility framework, and there is escrow mechanisms which Professor Iyer also mentioned in her presentation. Now there is a frame. This framework allows for penalties if there is non-compliance with environmental conditions. But I did not come across, or maybe I did not read between the lines, if there is any there are fines or penalties for non-compliance with social safeguards, or if they are stated in the rules, they're not very explicit as far as I felt. What are your opinions about this?
Yes, so exactly right. So it's not explicitly mentioned, and there are so many lines that even we are scratching our heads and saying, how do we really integrate, implement this? So that is what we're saying. Like, if you are going to, collect this compensation or user fee, then you should really show us and be very clear as to how you're using these fines or compensations or user fee, and where you're using it for, because at last this is public's money, right? So then how do you really get this for our informal waste? Because is what I am just looking at it from making sure that the social sector who are involved in waste management benefits from it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's something that's been bothering me also. But I think I also have a follow-up question on this, Bianca. And this is not just to you, Bianca, but I think it's open for Yamini and Professor Iyer also. Is that the rules are talking about authorized service providers, that everybody has to engage with authorized service providers, and you cannot hand over your waste to unauthorized. Now, as UMC, we're working with the Social Justice Ministry on this scheme called Namaste, and there is a waste picker component which
Yeah.
recognizes. So I am now kind of trying to interpret recognize versus authorize. If a recognized waste picker is equal to an authorized waste picker or not. What are your interpretations around this? Because if I'm a bulk waste generator, I'm currently giving out my waste to people who come to collect the waste generally. I'm not asking for any ID cards.
Right.
But let's say they do have an ID card, which is recognition by the Ministry of Social Justice under a scheme. Does that also automatically translate into an authorized waste collector or not? What are your opinions? Any of you can go first. So
Yeah, I think I'll take that. So, like you mentioned, right, authorized waste, because that was a question even in my slide, because we were discussing this as Alliance of Indian Waste Pickers also. What does this authorized mean? And even our waste pickers have so many ID cards, right? They had an ID card from BBMP saying they are waste pickers. Now, the Namaste scheme has come, which, it's a separate, those who don't know, it's a scheme for waste pickers to be enumerated in the entire country. Now, if there's going to be another authorization from ULB, even our waste pickers are saying, what do we do with so many cards, but if we don't have access to waste, right? So that is what, as an alliance, we are thinking of saying, can we really converge with, say, Ministry of Social Justice to make sure that if they have the Namaste scheme, can we look at that as authorized waste picker or recognized waste picker? So that is what even our argument is, that it is not said how it's going to be implemented. There are no mechanisms in the rules saying that how this authorization is going to happen. So I think that is the work of us as organizations, where we have to go and negotiate and advocate with the ministry or the state government and say that, can this be recognized as authorized? I think even they are not clear. It looks like that.
that's
Um,
my feeling too.
yes.
But
So,
that's something that worth pondering, and perhaps,
yes.
like you said, advisories from Mahua should be specific and actionable. Perhaps
Yes.
should point this out. Yamini, you've also been working very closely with the ground level waste collectors, and your team is on a day-to-day basis. They're working with the waste collectors to change behavior, interact with citizens, and they're the bridge between the citizens and the waste collectors. What are your thoughts on this recognize versus authorize debate that's been going on?
Thank you, Anurag, for this very valid question. Thank you, Bianca, for your thoughts. My opinion is a little different from yours. I believe what the government is trying to do, based on my experience and my inference of their rules, they are trying to bring the unorganized sector into the organized sector, actually. So, like we've been running these MRFs, and we find it very difficult to integrate these rack pickers into the formal system. Why? Because how the system works is, most of these rack pickers have tie-ups with the local recyclers. What they do is they exploit these workers. They pay them advances. They pay them very low rate for their recyclable item. We give them better rates for a daily exchange of recyclables, but they do not want to integrate with us because they are giving them place to stay in the city. And so many things are, when you go on ground and understand the realities, then you understand from a different perspective. Maybe you have a bird's eye view of the whole thing. And I think what the government is trying to do is, if we do not bring them into the organized sector, that maybe we're keeping them away from the social benefits and so many other schemes. So I feel it is important to set up such recycling centers in the country with, the roadmap to net zero reaching 2030 and then to 2070, ultimately net zero. So I think it is very important, even not just the municipal waste. What about e-waste? So much of informal recycling is happening in the unorganized sector, and it's harming our environment like anything. Also their health, not to mention that is also very important. So they're losing many things, not just the social scheme, but their health, their livelihood in the long run. So I really appreciate this step by the government to bring about this change in the rules.
No, fair enough. I understand your perspective. Formalization does bring in some systems which are helpful, but it's always there are two sides of the coin. So, Professor Iyer, you raised your hand. Would you
Yeah.
like to go next?
Yeah, Anurag, I was looking at, if I look at very fundamental level, recognition is the first level of, endorsing somebody's presence in a sector. You take any sector, it can be any form of work. So recognition is just giving you that recognition, literally, that you are into this business, you have worked, you know it, etc. Authorization is then telling you that if you qualify for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, we authorize you to carry out this role which you are recognized for. So I think logically speaking, I would separate out recognition and authorization like that. And if I draw parallels from how they have rolled out the authorization process for biomedical waste, I think there is already that repository of knowledge and experience lying with CPCB and SPCBs, which have also been charged with rolling out the processes for these rules. So I'm very hopeful that drawing on their experience from that, they will be able to put in place a process for authorization. My the caution here would be that the number of such agencies will be far bigger than what we have for biomedical waste. And how will we handle that kind of number of agencies? Who will be the master coordinator for that? How will city deal with coordinating with so many authorized agencies? That's where the whole, in that detail lies the success or failure of this authorization part.
Right. I also think it's a step in the right direction. But because there are questions and there is clarity as we go along, hopefully, which will emerge, we'll have more clarity around this. So, yes, Yamini, I'm coming to you, but I'm coming with you with an add on question on this. Yamini, I also think what Bianca mentioned is that this formalization process perhaps is going to be at a disadvantage for the informal waste workers, be it whether they're working in groups or not, and potentially provides an opportunity for contractors to kind of take the work that is already being done by these community groups. Based on the ground experience in the cities that you have mentioned, and wonderfully you've shown the results of segregation doubling and tripling in many places, do you think it will impact that ground level achievements where community groups versus contractors come into the picture? So, yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, thank you, Anurag. But I will add to what ma'am just told us. Actually, with the EPR also being rolled out now, the CPCB is rolling out EPR in various sectors, tires, used tires, and batteries, and so many things. With that system coming into place, I think this formalization is bound to happen. I don't, it will not happen magically. I will not say that. It's taken so many years for us to come down to segregation to 4 bins, but it is eventually a move in the right direction. So that is going to happen. I feel EPR is going to take care of most of these things because it'll be mandatory for them, mandatory. And, those certificates and all, I think, and also they will add to their livelihood. उनका इनकम बढ़ेगा ही, कम नहीं होगा, because the waste pickers that have decided to go with us, we are paying them PF ESIC. They are into the formal system. They are making and this money is directly going into the women's account. all those SHG women, I mean, I see the change that we have been able to bring about. Though we have a very small number of these workers, but I'm really proud to say that, they are saving for their family. They're doing many more things. Otherwise, which a daily wage which they are getting into the unorganized sector, they spend it on a daily basis. Some, most of the people are into various habits like drinking, smoking, and other things. So, that money, I think it's an improved way of their livelihood that they are making now. And could you repeat your question again, please? Because I was so caught up in the thought that
no
I
problem, no
missed
problem.
your.
My
Yeah.
question, Yamini, was what Bianca also mentioned is that, is this formalization or the shift towards formalization being seen as an opportunity for contractors to take up the work which traditionally so far, with a lot of effort by agencies like Hasrudallah and many others across the country, the community groups were doing. So will this formalization push community groups out and bring in private contractors? Is that the feeling that you get?
Um, Not exactly. Yes, at some places this is going to happen, but I think it was already happening because the ULBs are going for city level contracts. So it is no more engaging those CBOs and NGOs, with the rules becoming more stringent now, giving 100% day-to-day collection, giving other infrastructure. So we definitely need private participation if we are to manage our cities waste. Yes, in smaller cities, towns, people like us, we operate. So there always will be a niche for us to operate, for smaller organizations to perform. But yes, the need for the hour, the need for the country is for the private sector to step in. So I think it's a mix of
Fair enough.
both. Everybody will continue to get business. We have lots of waste in our country, and we really need to manage it.
Fair enough. I think Bianca, you have your hand up, and we'll hear what you have to say, and then we'll go through the questions which are in the chat, and I'll kind of ask the questions, and if they're directed to somebody, I'll ask that person to respond, or otherwise we'll open it for any of you to respond. So go ahead, Bianca.
Yeah. Just to give a little bit background, I think the value in waste was really looked at, and value of waste was created by waste because, honestly, and historically speaking, that is how it started. And then the private sector came in and saying that there is value in waste, and how do we really improve that? So now there is a big mafia and all of that. Keeping that aside, I think. Bangalore's experience and Hasrudada's experience, I can share with all of you. What has happened is with formalization recently is in 2020 bylaws in Bangalore, they said dry waste has to go to waste pickers. While wet waste was managed by private contractors and all of that, dry waste had to come to waste pickers. It was something that was there in the bylaws. And there were contracts, it was a private PPP contract between waste picker, resource organization, and BBMP. It was a 3-year contract, and after 3 years, they have not renewed the contract. In spite of Karnataka's solid waste management policies saying dry waste should be given to waste pickers, in spite of bylaws saying dry waste has to be given to waste picker collectives, they have not renewed the contracts. Because there's a separate entity now, Bangalore Solid Waste Management Limited. They call for tenders for taking up the dry waste collection centers, and each tender was 1 lakh.
Sorry about that. Moderator, can you please mute?
So,
Yes.
one tender, is quite some money. Like when you're talking about 1 lakh, can a waste picker afford so much, right? But waste pickers know exactly what material has to go to which, recycler, which aggregator. They are expertise in each material. And I think without integration, let private players come in, let anybody come in. But without integration of waste pickers, I think sustainability of waste management really can't move forward. Because honestly, if you come and see in Bangalore, there are so many migrant workers who come and do collection of waste, because that's the easiest way they can actually earn money. So than displacing this entire informal sector that is there in waste management, we should really see how do we integrate them into waste management. And only then can we look at sustainability of this ecosystem. If you're saying that, you are going to look at it from isolation and let contractors come in, there's nothing bad in contractors coming in. It should be collaborative effort, honestly. And if a large sector of people are making livelihood out of this waste management, how do you really displace them? I think it's also about social responsibility, right?
That's true. I think the purpose for the Namaste's waste picker component was also to integrate.
Yeah,
Recognition was first
yeah,
step, but the broader, of course, the eventual goal is integration and social security. So,
exactly.
completely.
I think it's a matter of contracting mechanisms that the ULB and the central government needs to look into. I think this is a subject for another webinar. Anurag, maybe you're planning to do sometime
Surely, surely,
soon.
would love to.
Yeah. So I think it is at most importance to bank on the knowledge that these people have. Like even in collection transportation, we've seen many contractors employing these people on the vehicles. In many cities that I have visited, these people, they recover a lot of waste from the municipal stream, recycle it, and they're allowed to take that waste every day. So they are reducing the burden on municipal bodies too. So I think this needs to be more debated and
Has to be
formalized.
structured and not left organically to happen. So, um, with all of you on this, and with that, I think we'll take a few questions which are on chat. Ashwin Kak has asked questions around what we've been talking about. What happens to current tech waste, waste collectors, local waste entrepreneurs, private upcycling players, and other small and medium-sized organizations across the value chain? I think that's what we've just discussed and answered, that it has to be a combination of supporting private sector but also ensuring that the waste collectors who are playing such a critical role also continue to do that with, of course, safer conditions, fair wages, and full protection, and in a just manner, as Bianca said. So thanks, Ashwin, for bringing this. The next question is from Marina. She's from Viega Foundation, and Marina is asking if there are any upcoming financing schemes associated with the new regulations designed to support ULBs in their implementation. Professor Iyer, if I may ask you to respond to that question.
Anurag, I already shared one view on the chat where I mentioned that the recent most Urban Challenge Fund has one component on water and sanitation out of the three key components, specifically targeted on tier 2 and 3 cities. So I'm hopeful that some programs will get carved out of that fund for these cities for this kind of implementation, also because the rules have come exactly alongside the Urban Challenge Fund. In the existing programs, also under the solid waste management, I think if the programs are clearly defined, they can avail funding for this. I think it's a matter of defining the programs very well, which align with the needs of this new solid waste rules, especially the components of the bulk waste generator and the related entire link, the digitalization of the whole process and onboarding of informal sector. If there are programs designed for it, it will get its true impetus. Otherwise, the funding, if it is broadly kept as solid waste management, the funding will still go on other probably fancier things, which we will not know whether they will land the rules on ground or not.
Correct. I think you're the experts, but I do have one small bit to add here, that the new rules have asked for cities and other jurisdictions to prepare their action plans and solid waste management plans. And perhaps those there should be templates, there should be advisories from Mahua and the state governments to their jurisdictions, specifying what should be the nature of the activities in their management plan, and perhaps what would be the funding pattern as well. So thank you so much, Professor Iyer, for answering that question for Marina. Karthik from Chennai is also asking a question to Yamini about what are the real challenges in promoting segregation? Is awareness the only solution, or there are more things to be addressed? Yamini, would you like to very quickly take that?
Yeah, I think I have already answered him. But yes, the
Oh,
real challenge is to do it daily, 365 days a year. So, how do you do it daily? How to get them into the habit of segregating daily is a major thing. And before we start any segregation process or before we start any IC or BCC activity, I feel it is very important that you have the right infrastructure in place. You have a vehicle that goes there daily on a regular specified time. You have a vehicle that has required compartments to store the waste which the citizen is giving, making efforts to segregate. Then you cannot take it and mix that waste back. So you really need to have the right infrastructure in place, and not just that, throughout the value chain you need to maintain that segregation. ये नहीं है कि आपने फिर ट्रांसफर स्टेशन पे ले जाके डाला फिर वहां मिक्स हो गया. So you need to plan your infrastructure well in advance and then go to the residents to asking for segregation and improve your efficiency and service delivery, I would say. Yeah.
great. Thank you so much, Yamini. Next question is from Jay Shah. And Jay wants to know that ULBs have struggled to implement the 2016 SWM rules. And what makes 2026 different? Would they not see it as just another set of regulatory requirements? Would any of yes, Professor.
Anurag, I have already written there, but I would reiterate the same thing that, about enforcement, and I think it's more about implementation mechanism which need to be cleared out. So once those...
Absolutely. Just to add to that, I think the digital and real-time reporting mechanisms should also help. They, of course, cannot single-handedly solve everything, but that definitely should help in better compliance.
Yes. But when I meant implementation mechanism, I meant how exactly, who will do it, which department will house it, how will it get rolled out. It will vary from city to city, but some large, broader level guidelines on that will be helpful, even for cities to roll out their action plans. So I think,
Great.
Yeah,
thank you so much. I think
actually,
Shashidhar's...
Sorry, I was just adding.
Yes, go ahead, yeah.
Again, to emphasize that, to implement these rules in their true sense, it is very important, of utmost importance, to understand the contracting mechanisms we have with our, service providers. I do support private sector participation, but that also means holding them accountable for the role that, the job they're required to do. Not just take the entire waste and, dump it at the landfill site. So, yeah.
Can I add one point to that, please?
Yeah, sure. Very quickly, please.
Yes. I think implementation mechanism, like Mona ma'am said, is very important. But before that, it's really important for, I think, citizens or civil society organization to really go and, negotiate with your ULBs to who you want to integrate, how do you want to integrate. I think they are really open to listening. Some officials, you have to find your friends in the officials, you have to find your politician friends and try to influence them to integrate, just not informal sector, about segregation or anything. So I think that plays a major role when the guidelines or the rules come out.
Very well. That's also quite valid, Bianca. Thank you so much for adding that. Lavanya Karthik says that Lavanya Karthik represents a bulk waste generator in Mumbai, and they are composting a large quantity of waste. And the question here is that they're kind of struggling with things like coconut shell and other things which they don't know now what to do after composting. And instead of landfill, is there another destination that these things can go to, the excess compost as well as the coconut shells, and what are the government mechanisms that can be thought of to tackle this kind? So it's very important for the government to encourage bulk waste generators who are actually processing their waste on site. Any thoughts from any of the panelists on how this issue can be addressed? Bianca, please go ahead.
So in Bangalore, we have this two-bin, one-bank mechanism, and in that we said that the coconut shells has to come to dry waste, and it was there was a lot of IEC done for that because this coconut shell uh, is used to make some soap oil. One, and it's also used in water purifiers, is what I know. So there is a value added product that is created out of coconut shell, and that is happening in Bangalore. So if you see in dry waste collection centers, we make sure like wherever we are collecting, our waste pickers are collecting, coconut shell come to dry waste collection centers.
Very well. I think that also brings in, connects to the point which Yamini was making, that it has to be a combination of private sector also stepping in to take care of
Yeah.
some of the things down this
Yeah.
value chain. Thank you so much, Bianca,
Yeah,
for
so adding to
putting.
what Bianca just said, coconut
Yamini,
waste
if
is
I may
also.
just very quickly check with all the three panelists that it's already 6. I know this was supposed to end at 6. Is it okay if you stay for another few minutes so we can take a few more questions in the chat box? Is that okay with all of you?
Anurag, I can stay for 5 more minutes.
All right.
Sure.
In that case, I think we will have to conclude. But I think this has been wonderful, and there are questions and people who have posted their questions. We've taken a note of those, and we'll probably try and respond to you after this webinar on a one-to-one basis. But thank you so much for posting your questions. With that, I'll ask Xerxes to come in, my colleague. He is taking care of a lot of work being done with the Social Justice Ministry, including the waste pickers component. Xerxes, over to you. Would you like to kind of summarize and give your concluding remarks for this webinar? Xerxes.
Yeah. Thank you, Anurag. Thank you, Professor Mona, Priyanka, and Yami. It was a very wonderful webinar. A lot of insights from the ground up to the policy and how things have been with the solid waste management ecosystem in the country. And I think, yes, it's critical for all of us to, look at how the new rules are coming in. As Professor Mona said, that in coming months, this is going to be a reality, and we need to really ponder on these points. And I think these points have to go beyond this webinar. So I think that's something what we should do next as things to be brought in. And for the larger audience, maybe it is ULB officials, state officials, institutions, NGOs, or partners who are working across in this entire field. So that's something. And Professor Mona, I think, really highlighted accountability of bulk waste generators, and that was also one of the larger discussions of how through including systems and identifying monitoring and enforcement would be the real way to go about this entire process. And reducing dependency on the landfills is something which is very, very critical for all of us. And for that, decentralized solid waste management is critical. And that's where I think Yamini and the team comes in to do that entire process with a lot of cities, from the Gram Panchayats to cities to the states. And I think Bianca with her and we know Nalini ji very well, but I mean, a lot of work has happened with the waste pickers and with the Namaste scheme, yes, of course, which the Ministry of Social Justice is working very closely. And happy to say that we have already enumerated 3 lakh plus waste pickers across the country, and we're still in the process of increasing that twofold now. So there is a huge amount of responsibility with all of us in this ecosystem to see that the waste pickers, as Yami rightly said, that they have to be part of this ecosystem and they know exactly what needs to be done when you talk about segregating the waste. And that's exactly what we also figured out when we started working very closely with the self-help groups of waste pickers. And initially we thought sanitation workers could do it, but no, they exactly know what needs to be segregated, how, where, and what is the value of it. you know. Even the bottles with the thickness of the glass has different values and different purposes. So it's very, very great skill that they have, and that is something what we're looking at. And lastly, in the interest of time, I'll just uh, kind of want to say that circular economy is something what we are all talking about, and I think that's very, very critical of bringing back the reuse recycle mode for all of us, from our households to the cities, or to our wards, and to the cities, and to the state, and to the country. I think that's something what all of us should really be uh, looking at. So with that, thank you so much everyone for making this webinar a very interesting place. And yes, we will continue with more such webinars. And I think we have got 2, 3 more points to come up with, and maybe we'll have more number of webinars and have more people to bring in. So thank you so much everyone, and thank you everyone for attending this. You've been a great audience listening for 1.5 hours very patiently. There were a lot of very good questions coming in, and a lot of interactive session is what I would say. So thank you so much. Have a good evening and a great week ahead.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
panelists, for your time and
Thank you,
your
everyone.
valuable inputs. Thank you.
Thank you.